measured for the liner. So that's happening. Cement truck is here to pour the collar around the outside here. So the 8 inches of concrete on top of all these pipes. Bringing a line over this way for an eventual waterfall that I want to do. And we also got this all done. So these are all the pipes that come up. This will be a pool house right here eventually. So there's 3 lines coming in from the 3 suctions. There's 5 lines going out, 4 jets and 1 waterfall. And then these are power lines coming in and a gas line down there. So I got that all sanded down there and it runs up to the house over there. Just finishing that up now, but I had to get this done so the cement truck could run over it to get to the pool. So we're pouring concrete on our collar today. Little electrical work this morning. All the metal components of the pool need to be bonded. Since they are permanently bolted together, panels, they're pretty much considered one, but we still attach at 4 points around the pool. So this is number 8 bare copper. Attach it with a lug and a stainless steel screw to the upright support there. I was told you could use a self-tapping screw, and then I went and looked at the code and said don't use self-tapping screws. So we use stainless steel bolt, and then we have a connector here, and this loop of copper goes all the way around the pool. It connects to the backside there and over there and finally over here by the light. So it's a loop that goes all the way around the pool. It's going to be just underneath the concrete, between 18 and 24 inches is the code, away from the pool edge. And then it also comes down and bonds the light connector here. So next step is we're going to run a conduit out of here. It's going to come up above the water level and out of the pool. The reason is this housing down here is actually full of water. The actual light housing that goes in there is waterproof, but this is still part of the pool basically. So the water comes up the conduit until it gets above water level and comes out. So the wire actually sits in a conduit of water. I suppose you could run the conduit along the bottom and over and then up, but to me you have that whole section of conduit then full of water where it can leak. I'd rather come straight up underneath my concrete, and now I'm above water level, and come to my pump house, and that way the only place it can leak is basically that connector right there at the housing. So that bonding wire comes back over here. I don't know if I showed you all the pipes coming up yet. So these are all the skimmer lines and the jets going out, and the electrical lines and the gas line. I chose to put a piece of wood across here and there and duct tape them all to the wood because I have a building that's going to sit right in here. So this pipe that's to the right is actually in the building. It's going to come up through the floor of the building. All the other ones are going to sit on the outside wall of the building and make a 90 into the building. So in order to make sure that everything lined up right, I struck a plumb line off the pool to set this board and then put all the pipes against it. I still have a few I have to set back. And that way I know it's going to land right. So you have to be able to see these things into the future when they don't actually exist yet in order to be able to do this. There is a flexible pipe you see laying on the ground here. I left that one because I am doing a water feature in this corner. I don't know where exactly it's going to be yet. So I left it out of the concrete, and I'll just, as I backfill, I'm going to make some decisions and decide where it's actually going to hook up through the concrete. So that's the update on electrical. And it's gonna be a quiet weekend. Not much that we can do until the electrical gets inspected on Monday, and the concrete collar, this concrete collar, gets inspected on Monday as well. So after that, then I can start backfilling with QP and dirt and grading, and so there's a lot of stuff I can do next week. And then after that, it's really going to be waiting on the liner to be completed. We have a new set of steps coming where there'll be a diagonal step coming down and a sitting bench across that side. The liner will get made to fit all that and put in place. We'll also put water in that same exact day and start filling it. And then from there, it's going to be gravel, rebar, and patio around it, and fence. So those are the coming things that have to be done. But moving right along. Well, this is where we are at in the process. Pool is in. Gravel is all packed around, so that's all where the sidewalk will be, all this area. And then here, these pipes will actually be right on the wall of the pump house, which would be kind of that area right there. And then this whole area right here will be kind of an open roof, well, not open roof, open wall, like a pool house kind of thing, a little bar and stuff like that, sink and whatnot. So the reason we're at a standstill is basically I've gone as far as I can possibly go without the liner and the steps and the concrete. So I gotta wait until, let's see, I think almost the 20th for the concrete guy to come. So kind of sitting waiting for that, and not much I can do. So we're going on vacation for a week, and we'll just let this sit, and then when we come back, we'll jump right into concrete, and then right after that will be the pool liner and the pump house. See you in a week. Oh, we're back from vacation, and it's concrete pouring week. Hunter and I are setting the forms for the concrete. Our tools are some 2x4s, forming spikes there, our laser transit, of course, hammer, screw gun, and we are using the transit to set the height of this 2x4 that goes around the edge here. In this area, it's 5 feet off the edge of the water, and so we have it dropping 1 inch over 5 feet. And then when we hit this point right here, we have a 15-foot run, so if we maintain that slope, we're actually 3 inches down by the time we get to the other side of this. So this is the kind of wide area that's going to be where all the lounge chairs are and stuff, and then the others are just walk around basically. That side's 5 feet too. So just setting these forms. They're not perfect. When we graded this gravel, I didn't like hand rake it out or anything like that. I just used the machine. So as good as I am with the machine, I did leave some low spots, so I can see right here I'm probably 1 inch or 2 low in this whole area. So we'll come back in here, we'll throw some gravel down and pack it again. But setting the forms for the concrete, this is the interior form here. I don't know if I pointed this out yet, but this is a styrofoam form that attaches to the steel through just some adhesive tape really, and then this will be the finished height of the concrete. And then when we use the vibrator on it, it's going to make a nice edge here on the edge of the pool. So it's a cantilevered concrete edge. And then I have to come in here once these are on, maybe I'll do a video on that. You take some steel wire and push it through here and screw it onto the steel, and then put a little washer on the backside. And then after the concrete begins to set, you rip off the foam and you twist the wire, and it'll actually break off. It's got a weak point inside here. It'll break off, and then you just patch over the concrete. So we'll show those forms later, but for now, we are setting our 2x4 concrete forms about a ½ inch above the gravel. That way we get a 4-inch slab, and yeah, that's the job for the day. Clifton and I are just working here today, trying to get a final grade on this. We put up the forms and realized that there was a little bit of a belly in the middle of this, and so meaning that this area was high. And we're trying to pour a 4-inch slab here. I wouldn't want a scenario where I've got 4 inches here and 4 inches here and 3 inches in the center. It's going to create a weak spot down this whole center and end up splitting and cracking down the middle. So we dug more material out of there, regraded it, and now he's just packing it back down the flat. So we'll kind of go through and check all of this with the laser and get it all just 100% perfect, 4 inches over the entire area, no humps at all, and then we'll begin laying down the rebar and wire, and we'll finish backfilling all these forms so the concrete doesn't leak out under the 2x4. Well, looks like we'll be working into the dark on this one. I would have had everything done by now, but the pool company came and they were putting in ladder anchors, and that kind of made it so I couldn't work, so put me behind a little bit. You can see the ladder anchors over here. So concrete will get poured all around them. We'll take the duct tape off, and then the ladder will anchor into that. It's bonded, as you can see. There's a number 6 bare copper tied to everything. So no matter what it is around the pool, if it's metal, it's tied to the ground. So all this rebar and wire mesh and everything's all tied. Over here, I put in a grid of 1/2-inch rebar, all tied together, and that is where the waterfall is going to be. And I anticipate putting some pretty large rocks on this, so I want to make sure there's a nice strong foundation under it. So that's why this grid is over here. We have this little wacky wedge form over here. This is because the building, which is up there, which is going to be the bar on that side, and then the utility room on this side, equipment room, I want that to be perfectly flat. Obviously it's a building, it should be sitting on flat, but this all has to pitch away from the pool so rainwater can run off. So that's how I got this little wacky wedge here. We'll pull that out once the concrete starts to set a little bit and finish shaping. And then I went and put 3 rows of rebar around the coping. I put one right up in the nose of the coping there. I just figure any cracking that might happen and start to lead through the coping, while rebar might not necessarily stop the crack, it'll definitely stop it from shifting and whatnot. So I did that. These wire ties that you see, there's a camera. These wire ties have a little nick right about there to weaken them, and they're only aluminum. And then you can see there's a little plastic washer all around the inside. They go all the way around the pool. Those keep this form from pushing out when the concrete is up against it. When the concrete sets enough that it can support itself, we'll twist, you can see it on this one, we'll twist that little wire there, and it'll snap off inside the concrete, pull out the remaining wire, and then just smooth off the surface a little bit to cover the hole. And so that's how the form is held in place. Another ladder over here and a handrail down that end. And you got to set your skimmer heights when you're doing this as well. So you can see I've got a string tied onto the form over there, runs downhill. That's 3 inches down to that side, and that way you get your angle for your lid of your skimmer to match the sidewalk around it. So steps came today also. They got to be assembled and put down by that ladder, but that's gonna be something for another day. Probably get done on liner day, maybe even, we'll see. So 25 yards of concrete arriving 8 a.m. tomorrow, and we'll check in when we see that concrete flowing. A little after 8 and the first truck is here, so we're just getting ready. We'll start flowing concrete. Mixing at a 7 right now, so we'll see what that looks like for today. And we made a little bridge to cross over to get inside the pool so we can trowel, just standing on the inside, trowel that edge nicely. So here we go. Laying it down smooth. Already bull floating this, so it's actually setting up faster than expected with 2% retarder in it for today. So got to work a little bit faster. Second truck is offloading over there. And then we're just calculating right now the third truck. We did a 25-yard plus order so that we can just add to it and then send the last truck. So that's where we're at. We gotta calculate this and that, and then the little spot over here, and then we'll send the third truck. Haven't taken much video because had to be pretty hands-on with this, doing all the edging. I kind of took on that responsibility, the pool coping, but they just brought out the power trowel. Concrete is setting up faster than anticipated, so we're using the power trowel to get some cream on top and flatten it out real good. These guys are used to pouring large slabs in barns, so this is a lot similar, and they just know how to lay it down super flat. But all the concrete is in place, and we'll check back once it hardens up, maybe tomorrow morning. Show you what the next step is, but we've got the concrete pool deck now. Been a couple days since we poured the concrete. We had some trouble with this coping edge here. The concrete set up too fast, and we had a couple issues, and basically what happened was it ended up with a really rough sand surface, even with some aggregate sticking out in some places. So I spent 2 days with a grinder grinding this down nice and smooth so it's safe. So that's all done, and the guys are coming today to finish some vermiculite that needs to be done, little patches, put on the wall foam so all the steel gets covered in foam, make it nice and soft, protect the liner, and the stairs are going in today. And then tomorrow we'll start bringing in water and the liner, so that'll be a big day tomorrow. The other thing I've done in the past couple days since the concrete is put in a little foundation here for the pump house. I wanted to do a solid block foundation around it, this part of it. There'll be a door right here to go in, and you'll have your equipment lined up over here. There's a drain in the floor over here, and that way if we take apart a filter or anything leaks, it's contained to this area and doesn't contact any wood. And then this half is where the kitchen goes. So that'll just be framed onto the ground. It's actually open on the front side and a wall on the back side, knee wall on this side. So that is getting framed today as well. So we got a few things going on today. Welcome to another episode of Things Crazy Megaros Do. Yeah, we're in the middle of the woods. That's a 3-inch fire hose going up the side of the hill there. And how do I flip this thing? Can I? I don't think I can. That's a bummer. Pause. We're back. And we have a pump here. This is a high pressure pump from Northern Tool. Supposedly pumps at 90 PSI and apparently has a head pressure or a head lift of 212 feet. So 214 feet. So that's the max head, and we'll see what happens. We're pumping through a 3-inch fire hose. We're pumping, what do we say, 550 feet of 3-inch hose. So we're gonna bring this pump down to the river and pump it up this hose. Up there, it goes into the drain culvert under the road and pops back up at the farm. That way we don't interrupt traffic on Townsbury Road. So are we allowed to do this? Yeah. Out here there is no city water, and so you have to fill your pool. You don't want to do it off your well, you run your well dry. So people often hire the fire company to come in. I should say donate to the fire company, not hire. Donate to the fire company to come in and pump water to their pools, either from a river like we're doing here, or from using our tanker truck, or any other means we have to bring water. So in this case, we're the pool owners and the fire company. So let's get started. So I just had Hunter start up the pump down there, and we have fresh, clean water, river water, coming out the end of the pipe, a lot of it. So we should be able to fill this pool pretty quickly with this setup. I can't believe we're pumping water from about 75 feet down and almost 600 feet long of hose, but we got it, fresh, clean water. Guys are here putting the glue on the wall, spray glue, and then this white foam will go on all the steel and over the steps to soften the steel and protect it. So liner should be going in a few minutes. Checking in, it's 1 o'clock, I think it is, 12:30, and the pool house roof is going on and the liner is going into the pool. So the foam has been placed on all the steel and on the steps, and now they're clipping the liner in, and then we'll start putting water in here from the river. And as the water goes in, they'll tighten this and pull out all the wrinkles. So the goal by the end of today was to have this hopper, this part, full of water, and maybe a few inches in the shallow end. So let's see. Our liner is in, and we are filling with water from the river. We've only been running maybe 15 minutes, and I'd say there's almost 2 feet of water down there. So we're flowing quite a bit of water. That's a 3-inch hose, and it's full, which is just incredible that we're pumping from, I want to say, about 75 feet in elevation uphill through 600 feet of hose, and we're getting this up here. It's awesome. Anyway, as this fills, they'll keep pushing the liner and running out the wrinkles up here in the shallow end. You know, it's still got wrinkles, obviously, and when the water comes up here, they'll start pushing those out as well. And the 2 bottom drains have been cut. Kind of see them down there. They're dark, but there's one there and one there, so they're cut through already. And we are cruising right along. We still have the pool house going up, and over here where this white plastic is where we're going to drill all the pipes through and hook up all of our pumps and everything, and maybe even have some water flowing through these jets today. So we'll see, but cruising along. First one to go in the pool while the river water is being pumped into it. It's a little chilly, a little dirty. Yeah, you're swimming. The dust is settled. I figured grab a video quick before it gets too dark. We've only got a little bit more to go on the filling. We're trying to hit the center of those little star patterns there to be the finished height. So trying to get to that. Everyone's gone for the day, but we did get a roof on here sheathing, and it'll get shingled and stuff in a day or two. Started to run some of the piping that comes up the walls over here into the pump house and the filter, and we'll finish getting that hooked up tomorrow as well. We want to start filtering this water because it is river water, so it has some shock in it now, but once the filter kicks in and we get some extra shock in there, she should clean up in about 2 days. So yeah, pump worked better than everyone expected, so that was good. And liner looks great, and little bar area over here is coming along, so that'll get finished off in the coming week. This is that pump room, so you can see some of the plumbing is starting to happen in here for the pumps. Almost there. I'm gonna take a quick look at this crazy idea. Here's the 3-inch fire hose coming from the pool across the driveway here. A little tiny leak, nothing big. And then we do have a road before we get to the river. So what I did was just pop the drainage grate right there and sent the hose down into it so it gets under the road okay, and then continued on down that way. Comes out the pipe there, heads on down quite a far way. The final, I don't know if I can see it, if I come this way maybe. Nah, I can't really see it. Yeah, way down there. Down there. You can see the pipe leaving the hose leaving the meadow there and going to the river. So 600 foot long and probably about 50 to 75 feet down. But it worked. It worked really well, actually. I think where we left off last was Taylor was in river water in the pool, and as you can see, just a day later, it's actually hard to see with the rippling water, but crystal clear. You can see right down to the bottom of the pool. So it's pretty amazing what the chemicals can do, and the only thing I'm battling right now is pH, so I got that down almost in range, so really the kids can start swimming. We do obviously have to put a fence up. I have a lot of grading work to do. I did lose all my dirt down there where the backhoe is, so that used to have like a kind of a steep drop off and then flat again, and instead I just made it a gradual drop off, and I lost all the dirt in there. So it's a really rocky soil, so I'm gonna have to put topsoil in order to plant grass. That's definitely the next thing because we have an event coming up, so I got to get everything planted for October. But we have a finished pool ready to swim in. The pool house will start getting shingles today over there. That room to the left is the pump room, and the spot to the right is where the cabinets and bar and kitchen and everything will be. So actually, let's jump over there and take a look at the piping. Alright, so inside the pump house, this is the primary pump that's going to the filter and out to the heater. There's a secondary pump sitting right back here. This is for the waterfall. So this is just an accessory pump. It'll only run when we want to see the waterfall. And then all the piping on the outside is here. We put valves on all of the suctions and valves on all the returns over here, so we can kind of, you know, tweak and adjust the flow to every single jet, and from the bottom drain to the skimmers. And then we have the heater over here that I'm working on now. We're in the process of converting to natural gas here, but in order to get them, you know, the chance to swim for the next month, I'm gonna go ahead and run this on propane, convert it, run it on propane for a month, and then convert it back to natural gas. So that is the plumbing setup. This whole mess here is because the workers wouldn't listen to me. I tried to explain, like over here, everything should be nice straight in a line so it comes up and goes in, or you know, whatever. Instead they put them like 3 here. The guy took like 2 hours to figure out how to plumb all this. Now I have all these extra elbows I'm not happy about. But if he just listened and put 1, 2, 3 pipes, it would have been an easy, you know, 1, 2, 3 T's done, or 2 T's and an elbow. But the language barrier was vast, let's say. Anyway, beautiful crystal clear pool.